right, continuing on in the Exobot Investigate portion, we're now going to dive into infrastructure related events. So starting off, we're going to talk about infrastructure sessions. So one of the things that we brought up already was the fact of when it makes sense inside of the tenant, we can essentially stitch sessions together. So basically Keith sat down, maybe logged into AWS console, did some maybe group membership role type of thing, spun up some EC2s, kind of whatever. But essentially I did all these things in a session. So what we can do during for those type of situations is piece all of that together. And I can simply just come in here and load a session and go consume all of the things that I did in that sitting inside of there, instead of trying to, maybe like kind of traditionally load CloudTrail logs and try to piece that whole story together. Like, hey, was all this done in one sitting, or was this done over, kind of multiple different times? So one of the things you can do in here as well is we can choose between the infrastructure we want to interact with, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, whatever it is, and where you're hosting. And some of the things that you might want to do in this particular section is, for example, there's maybe only one account I really want to know about. Just go ahead and filter on that account. You could do the same thing over here as well. Just hit the plus and then it'll go filter on that account. Was it a console login? Basically, what kind of login and how are they interacting with the environment? Come over here and say true. And what that'll do is it'll filter all of our sessions down inside of here where only it was console login in the last 15 days. And that actually narrowed that down quite a bit. Not a lot of console login activity happening inside of here. So kind of no shortage of the amount of filters that you might want to do. A lot of different ways you might want to dissect the data and kind of piece this up. But what I find myself often doing on sessions is that typically there's either maybe like an IP address, or there's a user, or maybe a particular action involved that I want to go see, like, hey, where was this done at? So one of the things I'll do is I'll actually scroll down here, and as we've been getting used to in the environment, we have these sub keys down here. And so it might be just like simply from an identity perspective. We can come down here, see all the different identities. We can just hit the plus sign and it'll go cross filter all those sections. And very similar with events, resources, locations, threat findings. So one of the things I often do would be come into something like resources. There, I only want to go load sessions inside of my environment where there's a particular resource being impacted. So let's just go find something that's a little bit more rare inside of here. So for example, like this auto scaling event. We don't really see a lot of this happening inside of this particular environment in the last 15 days. I want to go filter on that. And what you're going to see is a cross filter now gets applied on the entire dashboard. And it's saying, hey, there was only one time that we saw that. Do you want to go load that session? And now when I go load that session, we'll get that session ID. I have some other filters that I can do inside of here, but ultimately it says, hey, here was the account. Here was the role that was used. Here's all the information around this particular session. Looks like there was 4 total events inside of here. And then basically we're going to be able to see the scaling policy. We can see the lifecycle hook inside of here. So here was the 4 events. I could furthermore from here, like, hey, what location did these end up getting done from, and go kind of drill into that information. In particular resources. So we already know auto scaling would be a resource that's inside of here. So we know we would see something like that. The particular events, identity. So, a nice spot where we can just kind of load the entirety of the whole session and go see the surrounding events as well. Like, hey, we know the auto scaling events, but like what else took place inside of here as well? If I wanted to, I could promote this to a threat finding, something I want to go investigate this section, and we can have the Exobots go investigate this session. And then same thing, we still have the command center available here so we can go ask more questions around this session. You're once again going to have the entire graph to load, basically like, hey, what did this whole session look like, kind of start to finish, entry points, and all the things that we saw done inside of there. So just a nice way that you can just kind of go dive into that and consume that information. So let's go ahead and back that out. And very similarly, you might want to come inside of here and just do something maybe from a location perspective. Be like, hey, where are infrastructure events maybe being done from in our certain environment from a location perspective? And primarily inside of ours, we'll see a lot of United States, a lot of India, for example. And as I scroll into the map, I could see maybe if there was something interesting, like, I didn't really expect anything to come from this particular location. Oh, kind of double click there, but click that again. It's like, hey, maybe I wasn't expecting this particular location in my environment. We don't really do, I have a lot of people in Albania. Let's go take a look, and I could see this was Arif, and then I can come in here and load this session and be like, hey, when he logged in from Albania, what did he do inside of the environment? Here's that entire session and everything that was done while he was logged in from Albania during that session. So some token creations get crossed. So kind of interesting. I know that he does a lot of this different activity from a red teaming perspective. So probably some testing that was going on inside of our account. Cool. So that's really how you kind of leverage the infrastructure sessions page inside of here. And next, we're going to talk more around the specific events themselves and actually how you can kind of back into sessions by looking for a very specific event. Thank you.